Yeah, I just keep it steady on the magic. Do my thing, I'm healing, it's fantastic. If I fall, rise automatic. You ain't no now, you know. I'm the one rain myself like a tree from the roots. West side girl, cause she lit in the coast. East side girl when she speaks to the roots. Stay 100 cause she on with the truth. Been down struggle, know that it pass. Only going up, yeah, the pain don't last. Ooh, take off. Ooh, take off. Ooh, take off. This is take off, take off, take off. Shorty like Brandy, fight like Monica. What you know about her? Baby girl rising, way to the top. Shaking the world, don't expect her to stop. Purpose so great, she get what she got. Follow her step, cause she following God. What you need more, got a heart full of gold. Even at times when it's raining and cold. Ooh, she bout take off. Ooh, she bout.
What up, y'all? It's your girl Hannah, aka Ruta, and you are watching the Uprooted podcast. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm confused. The Uprooted Network. In case you missed it, we rebranded last week, and Uprooted is now a virtual community space for all of us. And we're just continuing to grow. So you know, your girl had to grow with it. The name had to grow with it. And today is none other than Black Men Speak Sundays. I am so honored and happy to be bringing on a new face to the community. His name is Dav Lewis. This man is so amazing and awesome, and I cannot wait for you guys to meet him. Yo, we have a show for you today, okay? You said Uda hair, you know, my girl Lily hooked it up yesterday. So you know what time it is. I've been really enjoying the braids lately this year. Like, it has been amazing. Also, if you didn't peep, first and foremost, my girl Sara from Teshelima. Okay, if you got your jewelry needs, she got you hooked up. When she came on my episode, I mentioned that I wanted the mini mezcal, and my sweet sis actually sent it to me and the ring, and I left my ring downstairs. But thank you so much, Sada. You were amazing. And you know, I love to support my women, so I also have my Shop Gonjo shirt on. It says, "Hold your head up, sweetie. Your Tigray tea." Okay, look at her. She fresh. So we want to make sure we're supporting these lovely ladies. I've had them both on the show. Make sure, if you haven't already started to support them, go do that, okay? Go run their Instagram pages, buy out their merch. They're supporting efforts in Tigray, so let's support them and let's support our people at the same time, and just keep the money in the community. And I see my special guest is here, so let's go ahead and get him on, okay? 5 of your friends at least, please. We are trying to grow the platform. Let me see if I can get this brother on with me one time for the one time. Yay, it worked. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Okay, I see you with the retwist. Hold on. Looking fresh. We love that.
Yeah, I just got those yesterday. Yeah, I just got them done.
See, and I had to get my braids too. I said, he can't be fresher than me on the show. What? I can't be looking busted on my own show. That's crazy.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Man, first and foremost, thank you so much for coming on. I'm deeply, deeply humbled. You know, I had to shoot my podcast shot and was like, let me get a guest that I don't personally know. I'm not calling in a personal favor. And you were just willing and ready, and I was like, yes, this is gonna be so dope. So
yeah,
thank you. I had some questions. People were like, "Ooh, who's this? Who's that? Where you find them?" And so for folks who've been asking, just a little backstory, I found you on Clubhouse because I freaking live on that app. And you were doing some really dope work in there, and I was just like, I just shot you a DM, and I was like, I don't know you, but you're doing amazing work, and I want to uplift that. And if no one's ever told you, you know, so that was the start of that. And then I just kind of follow here and there as a listener and as an observer, and just holding space and witness for the amazing work that you're doing. So for the people who don't know, could you just tell them a little bit about yourself, and then we could get into the show?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I just want to tell you thank you also for all the work you're doing your podcast, just everything, and also listen to the spirit, the universe reaching out. I think it's important that we support each other. I think it's important that we also use our platforms to not only share information, but also to uplift and give everybody else a platform. So I love the work you're doing and everything you're doing. So I was excited to come on today. And it was good timing. Like, I don't believe in anything just happening. Like, I believe in divine intervention. So, and I just want to say thank you for everything and all the work that you're doing as well.
Of course.
For those that don't know me or follow me, I'm Dov Lewis. I'm a Black Man Healing. I am the co-founder of Black Man Healing. It's a space that myself and 3 other brothers have created, curated. It's for brave Black men. And I always say this too, is that now, this time, to be alive now, to be on this side at this time is such a powerful time. And I think we all have to take advantage of that. But you couldn't have told me a year ago that Black men would be having conversations about our feelings, having conversations about love, having conversations about things outside of just sex, but actually having like real conversations about how we feel, about our pain, about our hurts, about our trauma, and about the things that are real, the things that really connect us that we don't talk about. Rather, they show up, whether it's in the performance or it shows up in violence. It shows up in all these ways in our community because we've just never had a space to deal with those things. And so Black Man Healing has changed my life in ways that I can't even explain, because I've also gained so much from it as well in my own journey, which you and I can talk about as well. I'm also the founder of an organization called Second Chances.life. That's some of my purpose work, and what we do at Second Chances.life is we provide housing, jobs, education, and mental health for people that have been affected by incarceration. And we started in Los Angeles. We're now in Houston and Dallas. And so far, we've been in Texas 3 years, and we've helped over 1,500 families, individuals, whether it's with a job, housing. I'm also, I do a lot of activism and community work around police brutality and around legislation. And so I'm a part of the Racial Equity and Justice Committee here in Houston and Harris County. And so now what that is, that's a body of community members that have been affected by incarceration, where we're working on looking at changing laws and legislation on a local level to address some of these disparities and some of the equities around policing. And I'm also a abolish the police person, like just in general. Like if you were to ask me my thoughts, I don't believe we need police, and I do believe that we need to reimagine our society with peacekeepers, peace officers, the things that that I think will serve us, because police don't necessarily serve us as a Black community in general, if you look at the data. And so again, that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother thing to discuss. But that I'm a producer. I have an award-winning documentary out called Second Chances.life.
Okay, you better tell the people you working.
Yeah, I've done a lot, man. My life has been full, and I just now it's a challenge for me. I'm practicing on talking more about myself, because I don't talk about myself a lot. I'm practicing being more vulnerable, being open, but also celebrating myself as a Black man, celebrating my accomplishments, celebrating the work that I've done, and being proud of it, and not being whatever people want to say is humble about it, but also sharing it with people, for one, so people can support that as well, but also to celebrate it. Like I've done a lot of things in my life, and a lot of really powerful things that have shaped my life in ways that, you know, I would have never have imagined being here today, even having these conversations. So anytime somebody reaches out to me, especially a Black network, I love supporting it in general, because I think we have to start doing that, you know. And it's okay to say no to things, but I think saying yes to things like this are huge to me, because we all need each other.
Man, yes, you already said a whole sermon like that. If they didn't take the notes, If they didn't take the notes, okay, in case people don't know, this is the space that's literally intentionally what I do is support people within my own community because y'all do such amazing, dope work. And like, I love that you said that you're learning to celebrate yourself and to speak about yourself as you should, because who else is doing it? All the messaging we get as Black people, right, not even just in this country but globally, is to minimize ourselves, to shrink ourselves, to fit into some type of box, into some type of label. And if you're successful, you're the exception, right? Like you're whatever. But it's like, no, that's not true. There's so many successful people doing amazing work, but you don't know about it because they don't speak about it, and I'm glad you said that. Can you tell people where they can find the documentary, because that sounds interesting?
Yeah, so it's we haven't put it on any platforms yet, but our goal, it's been a slow process, but we're gonna put it on Amazon, and when we do that, we'll launch it on all of our social media websites. But if you follow secondchances.life, so it's the number 2ND. I'll put it in the chat before we leave, but it's 2ND chances with an S.life.
Yes.
That's also our domain. So if you want to look us up, you can go to our domain, but also all our social media pages. And then also on mine as well, you guys can follow me. But the trailer is also on the website. So if you go to the website, you can look at the trailer and look at the work surrounding Second Chances and what that documentary is about and everything.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Also, if you're not following him, you can click at the top of your screen, hit follow, go to his bio, and make sure you're following him and everything that he's doing. So, and I'll put it in the description because we save these, and when we re-upload them everywhere, it'll be in the description too, because we're gonna make sure y'all not gonna tell me you didn't know where to find it, okay? I got note takers. My audience, my Uprooted fam, they are note takers. But just in case they know to look, that it will be there. Let me pin that for them. Yes, literally, that is amazing. Those are things that are obviously close to my heart. Having grown up in the Bay Area, okay, Black Panther Central, like we are no strangers to police brutality. We are no strangers to the need for second chances for folks. So I'm really, really glad that that's something that you're doing. But also just like, I don't think you understand, like me coming into your room and hearing grown men, okay, like speak about their feelings and using language, right? Like it's not like, I don't know, like they're stuck, but like you guys even helping them find language to express themselves is so instrumental, because I feel like what happens and what I see is like they're so emotionally suppressed that they can't connect intimately in their relationships, right? And like the divorce rate of 50%, but it's even more than that. Some people don't even get married. We out here having baby mamas, baby daddies, broken homes, and it's not because we don't love each other, it's because we don't know how to. Like the women are so hard and sheltered because everything we go through, and then y'all don't know how to soften up because the world doesn't let you and we don't let you. We also perpetuate that same cycle, right? Like of not creating safe spaces, calling men, all types of derogatory things for having feelings, and I feel like all of that is systemic. So to see like you and your co-founders like really stepping up, and I think what you said, like the word being brave enough to do that in a world that doesn't allow that for you, is phenomenal. And I just was like, I don't know how I'm gonna work with him eventually, but I was like, I don't know how, but I do know I want to uplift this brother and everything that he's doing. And everyone's like, well, I thought this was a Tagadu platform, or this is an African platform. He African too. Everybody's African. What you mean? What life started in Africa? Y'all just got different skin tones.
Yeah.
So yes, to all of that. But I'm interested in even, how did you start this journey? Because it's not, with all those obstacles, you know what I mean? It's like, how did you go from being in this hard, cold world to being like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about my feelings out loud.
Yeah, that's you said a lot there, and I'll touch on it, but I'll answer like your first question, because I think most Black men will tell you this too, probably men in general, but just being vulnerable, even for me, is a challenge. Like it is still something that I'm working on every moment of my life is how to be vulnerable and how to tap into that and how to dismantle fear, because that's really what shows up before you get the vulnerability. Like any moment that I decide, like, okay, I'm going to share all of myself.
Mm-hmm.
There's this fear that shows up that says, what if I get rejected?
That part.
What if these parts of me are ostracized? Like, what if these things are not received the way I want them to be received? So all these things start showing up, and it keeps us from fully tapping into love, because you can't love if you're not vulnerable. And I know we can say that all day, and it can be these terms, but the real love, like true love, you can't have love and fear in the same place. They don't exist.
Ooh. Ooh,
And
well, hold on. That was a bar. Somebody go tweet that. He said you cannot have love and fear in the same place. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, they don't, it just doesn't happen. And you can call it what you want to call it, but they don't exist. Like they exist separately, but in the same place, you can't say you love, because fear is always going to supersede that, you know, unless you make a conscious choice to dismantle that and find ways to get around it. But that's so, even for my journey, when we talk about my journey, I 10 years ago, I made a decision to start going to see a therapist.
Okay.
And one of the decisions was based on a lot of my friends had talked about therapy. And 10 years ago, we wouldn't be on this platform talking about healing just in general. Like, we just wouldn't be on Instagram talking about healing, because it wasn't a thing back then. It was still very taboo. It was still very sort of, there wasn't a lot of conversation around it, because even then there were people going to therapy, but they really were not open to talking about it. And the community that I come from, like, therapy was seen as something for crazy people. You know, quote unquote crazy people. Like, you go see a therapist, there's something wrong with you. So there's a lack of education for me, just in general, in my community, on what actually talk therapy is and what that looks like. And so for me, I wanted to know what I didn't know about myself, because I haven't had a whole bunch of relationships in my life, but I've had enough to know that at some point you have to ask yourself, like, at what point am I the issue?
Ooh. Listen, hold on. Listen. Looking in the mirror and realizing that you might be the problem. Oh, baby. That is a hard pill to swallow, because the way our ego is set up to protect us, it don't want you to do that. It don't want you to do that. Don't reflect, okay? Like, ooh, that's hard. Okay.
Yeah. And that was, it wasn't an end result for me, because I'm a curious person anyway, and it was more the perfectionist in me, like trying to be more perfect as a human. So it was this even my ego showing up, and this idea of perfection that I had created. It was like, how do I get to my perfect self? Because I can't maintain a healthy relationship, and I keep attracting these people in my life that don't seem to work out. And so that was my first step to healing, if I was to say. And I will say it was the best decision I've ever made as an adult. Like, the best decision I ever made for myself as an adult, when it comes to self-care, like from a self-care standpoint. And going into therapy, I would say the greatest lesson from being at there, and I still go to therapy today, but mine is more so like I have a spiritual coach / therapist. But one of the greatest lessons I learned was that it's okay to not be okay. And in not being okay, you're still perfect. You're still, even those things that are not quote unquote what people deem, they're still perfect. It's still where you are in your life. And that's okay. And understanding that the power is in me. If there are things about me that I can change, if there are things that I can't change, I need to lean into those things as well. Because
and understand them.
Yeah, because it's part of who I am. And also understanding like the things that happened to me in the past, that's not who I am. Those are just things that happened. And so even for me to be able to have this conversation and to have the language now to talk about those things, I don't know if I would have this language if I didn't go to therapy. I don't know if I could speak these things if I didn't go to therapy. I knew I would feel them, and I know they would come up and I would see them, but I wouldn't be able to compartmentalize them and regurgitate all these things back to you. But also the practice piece. Like, so now that I know all these things and now that I've unpacked all this stuff, now what? Because
what do you do with all of that? You got to put it back together and then create the person you want to become.
Yeah. And
yeah.
So that's where my journey started, because at that point I realized that my life was somebody else's dream for me. It wasn't my own dream. Like, my dream was a dream of people that had created this idea of who I am as a person in their head. And so that was the dream that I was living. And I was unhappy. I was miserable. And so what my journey has been is a journey of unlearning, unpacking, and relearning and repacking, and forming my own idea of like what a Black man is to me.
Amen.
Like who I am and how do I want to show up in this world? Like, what does that look like to me? And to stand bold in that, and to show up in that. And that's really sort of what Black man healing was for me. So we kind of talked about like our journey, like the guys that my other brothers that I do, so Roshan, Nathaniel, we all have these different journeys of getting to the places that we are today. And healing's not linear. It's not like we're just these healed superhero Black men navigating the earth that have it all together. It's like, no, let's talk about everything. Yes. Let's talk about the shit that we don't have together. Like, let's talk about the things that suck, the things that nobody knows about, but let's talk about it together. And in that, you realize how connected you are in more ways than just going out to the club, in more ways than just going out shooting basketball, weight room, going to work every day, clocking in and clocking out, all this surface level stuff. But who are we really? Like, who am I when all the lights go out? Like, who am I when there's no one else around me? Like, what does that look like? And what are some of the things and some of the conversations that I have with myself that nobody else knows about? And
you and your journal and your therapist.
Yeah. And why am I ashamed to share that?
Ooh.
Like, why is there so much shame in me sharing the things about me that no one knows? But what that is the shame comes from feeling like you're going to be judged. The shame comes from feeling like you're going to be thrown out, feeling like nobody else can relate to that, and also feeling like you're alone in that. And the more you share, the more you realize that there are millions of people that share these same fears and that share these same things, that share the similar experiences. May not be the exact experience, but you realize that, brother, I've been through a similar thing. Yeah. And that connects you even on a deeper level. Like, you really get to know somebody when you know the things about them that are most vulnerable, that are not the pretty, that are not the most celebrated things, but it's like you're still human, you know, and you respect people on a deeper level, because it's like, man, you went through all that and you still show up every day. You went through all that and you still loving on people. You still got love in your heart. You went through all that, and it's like, I don't know if I could do it, you know. But it's also encouraging, it's inspiring, it's motivating. And I can't tell you how proud I am of a lot of Black men in the community that are doing real work. And it's not things that, again, that people talk about all the time. It's not things that you see on the news. It's not what you're going to see in the media. You're not going to hear a bunch of people talking about Black man healing and what that looks. You're not going to hear a bunch of conversation around that. You're not going to see a lot of those things happening, because again, like what we talked about earlier, is like the world has made has put this dream in front of the Black community, in front of the world, on how Black men should navigate and how we're supposed to navigate and what kind of performances we should participate in. And the performances, they're gonna highlight the worst performances from the Black community. They're not gonna highlight they're not gonna highlight
the worst of the worst.
Yeah, you know. And that really is us taking our power back. Us taking our power back is taking responsibility for the things that we need to take responsibility for, which is ourselves. Yep. Like I wear a t-shirt all the time that says we must save ourselves, and I believe that wholeheartedly.
Listen, we do, because ain't nobody coming for us. Yeah. Like, the thing I learned that just being a Black woman in this country, right? I was like, oh, we at the bottom of the bottom. Like, damn, this is crazy. Like, we are at the bottom of the levels of oppression. We are all the way down there, right? But then the last 9 months, and I highlighted a little for you, this ongoing genocide and war in my home country, we learned that again. Like, the international community, where they at? Like, we literally are having to save ourselves, right? And like be our own heroes. And that's why I'm so adamant about this show that I'm doing. You know what I mean? It's like, people are like, you put in a lot of work here. I was like, no, you guys don't understand. Like, if we don't save ourselves, if we don't love on each other, if we don't highlight each other, we don't celebrate and uplift each other, ain't nobody out here doing that for us. They are not. Like, if we don't do it for ourselves, then we might as well just roll over and just let it be what it is. And so a lot of times the mental health stuff, the emotional vulnerability, the intimacy, I learned that into me, you see. And it's really just like, that is, I personally feel, the biggest change. If we actually want to see a change in our community, that's the one thing that we can do, that we do have control over, that would make the biggest difference. Because it's one thing to be oppressed outside, right? But it's another to be oppressed internally, and to hold those the values that other people put on you internally, and that keep you stuck. They keep you trapped, they keep you lonely and oppressed. And it's such, like, the thing you said about rejection, it's an evolutionary thing that we're fighting, right? Like, our brains are hardwired to not accept rejection. Like, our ego will protect us against rejection at all costs. It will make you do all the mental gymnastics. You will create defense mechanisms that you are unaware of, and you will be asleep to them unless you do this work, unless you are willing to ask yourself the questions that you're talking about. Like, you gave a whole sermon, so I really hope people were paying attention. Like, the dying to yourself every day, like the idea of, who am I? Like, what does that mean for myself? How do I define who I am, right? And like, without all of the outside influences. And so, like, I feel like what we do constantly is, we have a thought, and instead of just going with it, we're like, wait a minute, pause. We're not just quick reactors anymore. We're like, where did that come from? Is that something I truly believe, or was that something that was fed to me? And do I want to keep this, or do I want to leave it behind? And if we're going to leave it behind, are we replacing it with something good? Or, are we just completely just dismissing that from our lives? You know what I mean? So there was a lot in there. That is a whole sermon. Y'all gonna have to run that one back, because that is literally essentially the journey, like, outlined for you, the daily practice of literally having to unlearn and relearn what you want to become. It's so exhausting. I'll be so tired every day too. Like, it is a lot of freaking work. There was a question for you. Let me pull that up. We got our guy Mike Lowry. Okay, listen, I love a Mike Lowry. He said, for you, how do you keep that balance of being careful, smart, but not so guarded, with being transparent with how much you share with a prospect? I'm guessing in terms of relationship building.
Can you read that one more time? So
It said, for you, how do you keep that balance of being careful and smart, but not so guarded, with being transparent with how much you share with a prospect?
That's a really, really good question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and I keep going back to this too, it's like not being afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of times, like there's this fear that sits in the back of your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and that fear, if you don't, what you said earlier is like, pause, let me think about this decision I'm about to make.
Mm-hmm.
You take a pause, but also I have to think about, I've been programmed to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't programmed to just show up in love.
That part.
So it's a practice. Like it's a practice. Like you have to be conscious. Like you have to show up consciously, like your true conscious self. Because if I'm operating from the things that have happened to me, that's my subconscious
Mm-hmm.
showing up. That's not me pausing and saying, "Where is this coming from? Like, why do I feel this way? And why am I afraid to be vulnerable with anybody?
That
You
part.
know, does everybody deserve that? And I don't think everybody deserves that. You have the right to choose who and how you want to give that to people. I don't think everybody deserves that, but I do believe that showing up in love in every moment is a practice that it's a challenge for
Mm-hmm.
everybody to do. That's not something that's easy to do, but to show up in love is to show up your true, vulnerable, real, authentic self. And that is just, that's a practice. That's not something that I believe is easy for everybody to do, especially men. Like, I mean, I've talked to a bunch of men about it, and this is something that is a daily practice, because it is a practice of having these conversations with yourself about, it doesn't matter what's on the other side of this. What I do, what I owe myself, I owe myself. I owe this to me. This is about me. This is not about you. This is about me in this moment. And in this moment, I have to practice being vulnerable. In this moment, I have to show up in love. You know, because the same things that I give to you, I'm also giving that back. That's me. I'm giving that to myself. You know, I'm giving that to me. This is me giving this to you, but it's also something I'm giving to myself. And I can only give you what I have. Like I can give you what I have. I can't give you what I don't have. And we have everything we need. We just need to tap in. That's it. Like God is here. God exists. This, everything is here. We just have to tap in. And that's really the when I think about vulnerability, it's like it's there. Like I get scared sometimes. I get scared a lot of times. I get sad a lot of times. There's sometimes depression shows up. Like all these things happen all the time. And for a long time, like with Black men, like I didn't know where to go dump this stuff off it. You know, and so when you don't have a space to dump it off, the people that you're closest to, whether it's your partner, whether it's your friends, whoever you're closest to, you're going to have to release that energy in one way or another. Because that everybody's looking for somewhere to dump their energy off it. Whatever kind of energy it is, people looking for a place to do that. And
it's usually in a bottle.
Yeah, and the practice is, how do I want to unload this?
Yeah.
And who do I want to unload it with? How do I want to do that?
Yes. You know, there was something key there for me, what you were saying, and the journey that I decided to go on 2 years ago. I was already on this healing journey, but I remember I went to Jamaica. Everybody go. Stella got her groove back. Okay, listen. And it was like, I just remember feeling like I was finally in my own skin again. Like I get emotional. I finally felt like I was like returning to me after like such a long time of serving others and like forgetting who I was. Because not everyone knows this part of my story, but I moved to Denver to help family and to like help raise my cousin. And like, you know, that is like, I don't even think I understood the magnitude of that at the time, but it was such a selfless thing and it was such a natural reaction for me to do. And in that process, I had lost so much of myself because I was so busy, like being concerned about everybody else's grieving and how are they doing and, you know, putting them together, that I literally, like, when I say one, I think I gained like 30, 35 pounds. I was like completely stressed. I have PCOS. It's actually PCOS Awareness Month, guys. And the anxiety, the depression, like all of those things, my mood swings were through the roof. Like it was insane. And I chose in that moment to be like, okay, you know what? I'm not doing this no more. 2020 is the year of me. And I went on this like radical self-love journey because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I thought part of that and part of what I understood was, oh, the reason you're so afraid of being judged is because you judge. You judge others. And so you are afraid of what's going to come back to you. And so the more I started to love myself and give myself grace, the more I was able to do this work and to be transparent and to be vulnerable because I wasn't looking for your validation because I already like me. And then it went from I like me to I really love me. Like
Yeah.
I love my own energy and I love my own, like to the point where I have to be convinced to go outside because I'm like, yeah, bro, like you gonna treat me better than I treat me? I don't know. Like I don't know, but I'm at a place where I'm willing and open to share those things because I'm not looking for external validation. And I'm hoping that my testimony helps you in some way, really and honestly and truly. So I feel like the more you uncover for yourself and the more you understand it in the language, it makes it easier for you to be transparent and vulnerable in your relationships with other folks. And you just decide the level with that other person is dependent on can they do the same with you, right? Because if it's only one way street, that's not really much of a relationship. I feel like that's mentorship. Like, you know, like, oh, I'm mentoring you, but this ain't a relationship because like you ain't filling me up.
That's powerful. As you were talking, you made me think about the validation piece and how that's sort of how we all navigate this world. Like we want to be accepted versus like what you're practicing and what you're talking about is the power to just be.
Yep.
You're being. You're not trying to belong. You're being, and that's the difference. There's a difference between belonging is wanting to be accepted. Being is showing up who you are and understanding that I'm enough. What I give is enough. Who I am enough, and I like myself. I love myself, and the things that I want from a partner are different from the things that I need because I don't really need anything.
Yes.
I have everything inside, and so I love you sharing it, and I appreciate you sharing that with me, even for me, because it reminded me of so many things and the power of being vulnerable. And the power, because as love, you love yourself first. Like you're loving on yourself in those moments, and it's so powerful. Like even you going to Jamaica and having this renewed sense of self when you went to Jamaica is about. There's a song Beyonce on her Lion King album, not the Lion King, but the Black is King album, that talks about like finding your way back.
Oh yes, I love that song. Find your way back. Yeah, it's yep.
So the song, if you listen to the lyrics, it's about getting back to the shore because a lot of times in life, I talk about this earlier about the dream, other people's dream, other people's have you lost out to sea. You can be lost out there just trying to figure out, and the goal is to find your way back to the shore, which is to you. Like, how do I get back to me? Which is where God is. Like, God is back to you. You're getting back to yourself, getting back to God when you get back to the shore. And it's so easy to keep drifting off further. But coming back to the shore is where peace is at. That's where God exists. That's where love is at. That's where self-care is, because that's really what matters. Because to me, I was having this conversation earlier when I went to brunch, and we were talking about really like what the journey of life is, and it looks different for everybody. We're all here for different reasons and things like that. But for me, I really do believe that humans, we're moving to a different place. We're moving to a higher dimension, and we're moving to a space that we have to go to. Like we have to move to the next dimension, or we're going to destroy ourselves, because we have gotten away from like the things that really matter, which is good energy, you know, putting out good energy, loving on each other, empathizing with each other, showing up for each other, showing up for ourselves. And I think that's where we're moving. Like we're moving to that space. And we really don't have a choice, to be honest, because we have to. Like, we have to evolve and continue to evolve as humans, or we're going to destroy ourselves.
Man, that part. We have been destroying. Like, if 2020 ain't taught y'all nothing, okay, it has taught you to be kinder to people. Because it is insane the amount of nonsense that we are going through as a people because we are so selfish. Like, we are so selfish and we are always looking out for number one. And if we would just put a little bit more effort, like just even a tiny bit more effort into considering our neighbors, you know, and our friends and our family, we would be in a much better place.
Mm-hmm.
A much better place. Because, like, honestly, and I don't know if this is for you, but like, I feel like part of this too, I feel very raw, like, and open all the time because I've been on this journey for so long that I can feel like everybody else's energies, and it is not good. Like, I get so much anxiety from being out in large spaces because I can tell there are people trying to drown their sorrows, and they turn into like really nasty people, you know? And earlier we were talking about like how people cope, right? And they really go from bottle to bottle. That's really how I feel like they had those coping mechanisms, they get older, and they go back into those cycles of like trying to cope in the unhealthiest ways. All those things that they've bottled up come out. Like, you are trying to drown your sorrows, and all of that shit comes out because you are now, and like, there's nothing stopping you from being that. There's nothing stopping you from lashing out and taking that out on other people. And that's why we get that whole hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more I have healed, the more sensitive I have become to other people's energy. And I'm like, yo, it is a dark, scary world out here for some of us. And we really need everyone to just love a little bit more. Like, I'm always trying to uplift. I'm always trying to like just sprinkle some fairy dust everywhere I go because I'm like, yo, like, life is hard. Cut people like some breaks. Like, give them some grace. Give them some slack. Like, I don't think we all intentionally want to hurt each other, but it's like this whole cancel culture, this whole like, oh, I don't want to be vulnerable. I want to have my walls up. I want to whatever, whatever. Like, that's not getting us anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. And I think we are getting there. I think there's enough of us having these conversations. There's enough of us practicing the things that you're talking about. I think people are more conscious about energy. I think people are practicing things that us as humans on a grand scale, on a large scale, haven't necessarily practiced the way we do today, which I thank God for access, the internet, for a lot of reasons, because it connects us in ways that we normally would not be able to connect. Like, even you and I being able to have this conversation is so powerful.
Yes.
You know, you have no idea how many people will see this. You have no, even if one person, it's going to change somebody and touch somebody in a way that we can't even fathom, you know, but I know all these things are purposeful. And this is also doing our part. This is what it's about. Like, this is our rent to be on this side in these bodies at this moment, is to, part of our rent is to instill some goodness on this side while we're here. You know, if we can. Say that. You know, I don't know everybody's journey and why their soul came here, but I do believe those of us that are conscious and that are aware and that understand the assignment, that this is our homework.
Yep. I keep telling everybody, I'm just moving in alignment. Okay, that's it. I'm one step in front of the other. The thought came in my head. I said, I'm gonna just shoot the message. The worst thing that's gonna happen is it's gonna say no, right? And I'm right back to where I'm at. But what are the, the odds that he says yes, and then we get to do something magical together? Somebody might catch some healing, like somebody might get saved. We don't know. It might be the kick in the, I was gonna say the ass, but yeah, the kick in the ass that some people need to go to therapy, right? And to go and take care of themselves and like really love on. And it's not selfish to take care of yourself. It isn't. It's selfish to not share that with others, though. That's what I think. Is like, No, share that love though. Like once you better, go share that love with other people. Like that part is really what you need to focus on. And you have been doing it beautifully, I will say. I've seen like just, just from the internet, right? Like I've seen and just in the spaces that I've been in with you, it's been really dope. Has there been some like how like we all kind of have that moment where we're like, oh, I know what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like where you just kind of have that like very clear, purposeful moment. Did you have one of those?
Yeah, often. Even with the Black man healing space, like there's times where Black men will come in, they're crying.
Mm-hmm.
That Black man that I've never met in my life, to
Mm.
show up in a space amongst other Black men, with Black women listening, to be able to show up in there and really like be vulnerable and be open and share some of the deepest things about yourself. I
Yes.
know that's purposeful. Like I know that space is necessary. I know that in those moments, in those times, that's what's supposed to be happening. Like I know, even for me, I know this is where I'm supposed to be at this time in my life. But I wouldn't be here if I wasn't in alignment, which is what you talked about. Like I would, if
Yeah.
I'm not in alignment with where I'm supposed to be, if I'm not in alignment in my relationships. All the brothers that I do Black Man Healing with, Nathaniel, Roshan, Yusha, DJ, Lil Nate, like all of these brothers that we all come from different walks of life, but there's an alignment there that makes that space what it is. It's a space of love, a space of trust, intimacy. All of those things are in that space, and Black men that come in that space, even on the phone, on
Mm-hmm.
Clubhouse, they feel it. You can feel the energy, even on the phone, and so that's those moments like that happen all the time. And I just say thank you. I just say thank you to the creator of the universe. Thank you. And even thank you for my mind and my soul, my spirit, and for me for saying yes to some of the things that I've said yes to, because that's what it's about. Because it's about us as a collective moving in a direction of healing, but also I take so much from that. Like I take so much from Black men that are braver than I am,
Mm-hmm.
that are able to show up in ways that I can't show up. I'm like, I love that. Like I love that, and I admire that, and I appreciate that, and I respect that so much, because we all have so much work to do, but we also have to show up and be empathetic. It helps being empathetic to somebody else. You in turn are more empathetic with yourself about the things that you need to do better on, because you
Yep.
have to be in this journey, in this life, because none of us have it all together. None of us are completely healed. Like I don't believe in just this going to therapy as the end all be all. I don't. If there's work beyond therapy.
Oh yeah.
Not everybody needs talk therapy, but there's spaces, like finding spaces that will help you move to the next phase in your life, in the next chapter, help you
Mm-hmm.
move to being your best self, the best version of self, help you move to getting back to God and getting back to like your true, authentic, real self, and you being able to show up like your true Black African self in
Yes.
every space is the goal. And to show up in love as your true African self is so powerful. Like that is powerful, and people know it when you walk in the room. You can have on anything.
Yes, that part. I be
Yeah,
looking like a straight bum sometimes, and people really be like tightening up. All right, relax, everybody, relax. Like
but
it's
that's
okay, guys. Yeah, I'll be so confused. People are like, you're so intimidating. I was like, no, 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 I'm not. You are intimidated by my confidence in who I am and the way that I'm walking because you want to walk like this, but I'm not intimidating. It's okay, guys. We here, like but it's really that. It is really that. I think you walk a little different when you like yourself. Like.
God, that is so good, because that is so true. That is so
Mhm.
good, so true. Like that is, and it's a different kind of walk. It's not a walk of I got on some new clothes or some new sneakers
Yeah.
or trying to be cool. Your energy is different.
Mhm.
your energy, because you're putting out what you are giving yourself. That's what you're radiating out to the world, to the universe.
Yep.
And the walk is the same kind of walk, but your energy shows up differently.
Yeah.
And that's really, and there's a lot of things that come with that.
Oh yeah, I get a lot of hateration, holleration. Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that comes with that, because energy is energy, light is light, and darkness is attracted to light just as much as light is attracted to light, good is attracted to good, bad. It's all going to come at you, and you got to figure out how to navigate this, with this being this way, and still show up in love, because that's the balance that you have to have, and being able to manage all these things. It's a task, but somebody got to do it.
Listen, is that part. I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, on this healing journey, okay, your light is gonna wake up somebody else's demon. Okay, they're gonna see you coming close to that person, and they're gonna be like, oh no, because they don't want you to get healed, right? Like there is parts of your ego and your pride and your brain, right, our wiring, that wants us to stay in this comfortable position that we're in. They don't want us to grow. This like internal self-talk, guys, like literally will try to keep you quote unquote safe. It's not safe, it's just your ordinary normal, right? Like it's like it's your 20 years you've been doing it this way, and now you're trying to change, and your body's like, no, like we've already adapted to this, we don't want to change. And it's like, no, you do. And I can tell there's sometimes my light agitates yours. Like, but it's good, it needs to wake you up, and that's a sign for you. Whenever you triggered, it's a sign for you to go sit in that and figure what it is, because it's not me, and I know it's not personal. Like, I think it's part of the 4 agreements. It's like, don't take anything personal, because all we're doing is projecting our own reality onto other people all day long. And so the more that I have been able to unpack that, I don't even take it personal anymore when I get the hate. I'm just like, all right, it's cool. You're going to come here eventually. What I say to you on the phone, I tell people all the time, listen, you could come here if you want to be a hater, but you might catch some healing anyways. Like, it's going to happen. You can try, but something that we say is going to stick to you. It's going to bother your conscience, because you're like, as much as you want to say that it's fake, we take people's excuses away. Like, we're showing up in our authentic, vulnerable selves. We are saying we are hurt people. We have gone through these things, and look at us thriving now. What is your excuse? Like, you want to talk about abuse? Been there. You want to talk about self-harm? Been there. You want to talk about, I have, levels of addiction, losing people to addiction? Been there. Like, that we are taking people's excuses away every day. And when you are stuck in a cycle, that's the last thing you want, is for somebody to take your excuse away for why you don't have to be the victim anymore. Because once you know that, you actually have to do the work to stop being it. And that's where people get stuck. Yep. Every time.
Yep.
Every single time. Okay, the comments is going in. We must be preaching, because I see the hearts is going up. Oh man. Okay, well, hold on, make sure there's nobody that had a question. Okay, I don't see a question. What would you say, because look at, I'm telling you, time goes fast when you're having a good convo, right?
Yeah.
What would you say, going off of what I'm talking about, would be the advice to either your younger self or somebody else that is starting or wanting to start this journey into self-healing?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I did on my journey is I wrote a letter to myself.
Okay.
And I forgave myself for the things that I had blamed myself for. Ooh. That were responsibility. Like things that my parents did, just all these things that I had taken responsibility for and onus for that were not mine. So I was carrying around this heavy ass bag that didn't belong to me. All the stuff in it was not mine. Yes. Some of it was, and of course, taking responsibility for that. But that was like the first thing that I did. I wrote this letter to myself, and I had never read it to anybody. And I did this speaking engagement. I finally read it to a group of like college kids in this program, and it was writing it was a challenge, but even when I read it, I mean, I broke down and cried because I had never spoken those words out loud,
Yes.
and actually like felt the release from those things. So I would say that like in your journey, like make sure you have compassion for yourself, make sure you have empathy for yourself, make sure you're patient with yourself, like on this journey, because again, like healing is not linear. It's not this overnight thing that happens. You hear people talk about it all the time. There'll be people come at you just having all these conversations around healing, but it's not linear. Like it's something that, and it depends on what you need to heal from and what that looks like, because we all have our trauma and these things we go through. But what is that one thing that you feel like is holding you back in your life? And looking at what it is, and if you can change it, change it. If it's something that happened in the past that you can't change, like how do you move forward? And for me, like a lot of, even for me, like I do a lot of different things to sort of deal with my trauma and things. Like I meditate in the morning, every morning. I do yoga. I work out a lot. I read a lot. I listen to podcasts. I write a lot. You know, I'm writing. I have a coach, a therapist, and that just shows you how deep my trauma runs. Like,
listen, I did it all too. They don't know. You don't get to this level without some daily practices, okay?
Yeah, you know, and a lot of these things I do every day. Like every day, my eyes, I say 5 things that I'm grateful for before I do anything. Before I look at my phone, I meditate or I ground every day. Before, these are things that this is also self-care for me too.
Yes.
Before I not let the world into anything, like I'm going to take care of myself first, and I'm going to prepare myself to go out into the world. And so those are things that I do as soon as I open my eyes, and when I lay down at night, I say 5 things that I'm grateful for from this day.
Ooh, that's good.
Those are things that I just practice, even for me, because it helps me from a mental standpoint, because you talk to yourself more than you talk to anybody else. You have with yourself. And so how are you talking to yourself? How are you speaking to yourself? Because that's really the things that you're going to manifest in your own life. So in your journey, I would also ask yourself, like, think about when you're having thoughts, when you're thinking, what are you saying to yourself? Like, are you speaking love into your life? Are you speaking gratitude? Are you speaking joy in your life? And you'll look and see, like, you'll manifest those things the more you speak it to yourself. And again, like I think start somewhere, you know, and be honest with yourself about the things you suck at. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And if you can, like, find an accountability person, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a coach, whether it's a spiritual coach, somebody that you trust and that you feel comfortable with, where you can go unload stuff and not feel judged, not feel like these things are going to be thrown back in your face, but it's going to help you kind of talk through and walk through your journey as you're going through it. So I would say that, like, again, like, just find ways to give to yourself.
Wow.
And all those things are going to be reciprocate. You're going to start reciprocating that stuff in the other areas of your life.
You know, I've been preaching this on this show for all of the episodes. Like, please, if you do anything at all, be kind to yourself. And those are all the practices I do. Manifest Mondays, and we're doing that right now. The series we're doing this month is on forgiveness and understanding that. And so I love that you started with, right? That's that forgiveness of self. If you don't get that down, the rest of your healing is it's just not gonna happen, because it's always gonna go back to that. Like, it's always gonna, like, if you can't give yourself that grace to let go and to release those things that are holding you back, you cannot move forward, because you're gonna keep bringing that into every new chapter of your life, right? And especially in the community with everything that we're going through, everyone's like, how can you be speaking about forgiveness? I'm like, look, the active harm is still going on. That's cool, but you can understand the skills and the path to getting to forgiveness for yourself. Getting to forgiveness for the other people, okay, that takes a little bit more work. But at least for yourself, to not have to feel like you have to hold on to the pain and the anger so that you can move on and live your best life. is a necessary step in your healing. And it's one that if you have a good therapist, it's going to make you start there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, you're good. I judge my therapist on this. Like, are you teaching forgiveness? Because that's the first thing that these people need to learn. Like, there's so much that we go through, and if we can't let that go, where are we gonna go? Where do we go from there? You know what I thought of? That Erykah Badu song, Bag Lady. It hits different now. Ooh, I'm telling you, I play that song back. I'm like, she has been preaching this, y'all. She has been telling y'all, don't carry a heavy load. You're going to break your back one day. Like, don't do that. You got to drop some shit off. You don't need all of that on this journey.
Yep.
You really don't. That is beautiful. That is really, really beautiful advice. Oh, my God. You're a phenomenal. Like, I'm telling you, I'm going to have to run this one back for myself anytime I need a reminder, because we are literally, like, aligned in what we're doing, and I think that it's amazing. And the question that I always end the show on, because I like to affirm people, is what is it that you want your legacy to be?
Ooh.
Yes.
I read this when you sent me this. It's still a challenge for me to answer this question. I've been asked it like twice before.
Yes.
But I want my legacy to be a legacy of authenticity, like a legacy of this man showed up, this black man showed up, his whole black ass self in every space that he went to. And in those spaces that he went to, people knew he was there, that he was in purpose. People knew that he was kicking down doors and bringing other people in with him in the that he was in. And that even in all that fight, there was love, even in that fight.
Yes.
And I want people to say that, or know that a change agent is why I was here. I was here to be the change agent for my family, for my friends, for my community. Yeah, I mean, that alone to me is enough, and to know that I'm a man that did the work, and continues to do the work, whether it's myself, in the community, my neighborhood, like I'm doing the work.
This is beautiful. I want to answer, somebody put a question in here I want to answer before I do my affirmations. She said, but how do you know that you truly forgive someone? I will say, I'll speak for myself, and then if you want to add in, I knew I truly forgave the other person when I was no longer interested in what happened to them. Like, I was no longer interested in revenge for them. I was no longer interested in just even thinking about them or what happened. I was like, you know what? It happened. It was a matter of fact. I'm over it. I just don't have any more energy to give to this. And when I see them, you know what, too? I listen to my body, and my spirit is not disturbed anymore. Like, I'm not disturbed by the thought of them anymore. It's just like, you know what? I actually genuinely wish you the best in life. You tried to hurt me. I don't know what demon is in you, but I hope it leaves, and I hope that you get the healing that you need so that you can stop hurting other people. And that was like my cue to, all right, I'm done with that. Like, when we done with that chapter, we're not letting that back in our life. And then just understanding the flags to look for in other situations, and to have my own boundaries and reaffirm those boundaries in every new relationship that I enter, whether it be platonic or romantic. That it's like, hey, this is my expectation. Like, I over communicate everything. Like, I am extremely clear about where I stand, how I feel, and how I'm affected in any relationship that I have with people now. And it's because of those experiences. So, like, really, transparency is my best friend. And that's how I know, oh yeah, no, you are forgiven. It doesn't mean you get to come back into my life, but you are forgiven, and you can stay on that side of the Ponderosa. That's what I tell people.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So did you want to add to that, or I'm gonna go into my affirmations?
No, you said everything. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said.
Okay.
So there's enough for me to add to it. I agree.
That's beautiful. But on to your legacy, and usually this is my crybaby moment, so I'm gonna pull it together. I can say, as someone who hasn't even got to, like, physically be in your presence, that even just like being nearby on the internet, you know, I have felt that from you. I think that was the message that I sent you, was that I had heard people say, this is the first time I'm able to share this. This is the first time I'm saying this out loud. And as someone who also considers themselves a change agent and a healer, I know what that means internally, to know that you have broken through somebody's shell to get them to a point where they can choose themselves. And that's not an easy thing to do. That means that you have to be such a loving and safe person that that person knew that you were going to hold them through that, and that you were not going to judge them, and that you were going to create space for them to be that and to have that. And so I know for a fact that you have done that already, and that your legacy is really just going to continue to get bigger, because that is a gift. And the fact that you know that it's your gift, and that you know that it's your purpose, and you're walking in it instead of running away from it, because some of us know what our purpose is and we run from it, and we continue to run from it. But to be brave enough to stand in it, to do the hard work, because we also have to hear some really hurtful and ugly things, and to not let it kill us, you know, and to be able to hold those people up and say, I'm here for you anyways. I'm going to stand with you anyways. I love you anyways, you know, that is really and truly a gift. And as someone who has had to do that for others, to see you do it is beautiful. And for me, the layer, and this is where I get emotional, because of my own abuse in situations with men, when I meet men like you who can do that, it restores my faith in you guys. You know, it allows me to like really believe and trust and understand that I can have healthy relationships with men, that we can as a community come back to one another and to really have love and intimacy within ourselves, and we can really heal our communities. And I love finding men who can do this work too, because it's a really heavy burden to be a woman and to do this for myself, and then to try to do it for men as well, when it's been Black men who have hurt me the most, you know. So I want to thank you for restoring that faith for me. And I'm hoping that, and I know that you're doing it for others as well. And so I want to affirm you in that legacy, and I want to uplift that and scale that even more, because more people need to be touched in that way. And I know that you have the gift to do it. So I'm going to champion everything you do, and keep uplifting that. And I hope that you know that you hear that and you can feel that in your spirit.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed right now because like you, for one, like I just want to send you some love and some healing energy, and um, just uplift you, because I can feel your spirit, I feel your energy, and we have a lot of work to do as a community, Black men and Black women, and I'm grateful that you and I were able to connect, and I'm grateful that um, to even be on this journey with you, because I know you're going to do some amazing things even outside of this on your journey. And thank you for affirming a lot of things. I mean, you said some things that I haven't heard before that I was like, wow. And the things that I hadn't thought about in that last affirmation. So I want to tell you thank you for uplifting me. And this interview has uh, revived me, believe it or not. Like this is really like revived me and moved me to the space that I need to be in. So I just want to tell you thank you so much for that, because you have no idea um, what this moment just did for me.
It's so
Um,
beautiful.
yeah, it is. It's a beautiful moment because you said a lot of stuff that I was like, oh wow, you know, because sometimes you don't reflect on things that you do, you just do them, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have language, and God sends people to give you that language and that
Yeah.
affirmation. That's what this moment was for me, and I'm glad that I could be that for you as well, sister. So I just want to uplift you and say, stay the course, stay, stay in this space, and continue to just expand. So I appreciate you.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I told you on the phone, I seen what you was going through, and I didn't even know it when I reached out. And so I was just like, the fact that he can carry all of that, because I myself am carrying that, and to continue this path, I know that we're aligned in this way, because this work ain't easy.
Yeah.
You know, this work
Yeah.
is not easy. And so every moment that we can, and to uplift somebody on their part of this journey, we got to do it. And I hope just even this example of this exchange, will like encourage and inspire people to do that in their own relationships with their, their friends, their family, their community. Um, yeah. Oh, my girl, I got my PR team in here. She said, shout out your club on Clubhouse again. Dav, he has Black Men Healing with his co-founders. I have Uprooted Network. We are in there, okay? We are in Clubhouse. We be on there. We be talking to everybody. And I'm telling y'all, like, the space is for men. So women, chill in the audience, bear witness. Don't go in there you thinking you gonna do the talking. You're not gonna do the talking. Y'all gonna have to learn active listening, okay? Active listening and empathy. That's your only goal. Stay in the audience, listen, bear witness to men doing this work so that they can still feel comfortable. I think even seeing women in the audience, and send them some love in the DMs. Be like, I'm proud of you, brother. That was beautiful. Affirm them so that we can start building those relationships so they can continue to do that work. We want to encourage our men to do the work. We want to encourage our women to do the work so that one day we can do this work together in healthy communities. Like, that's really the goal here. And so, y'all, if you were blessed by this, please share this. Please share this with your folks. You already know your girl is on everything now. This will be streamed on all the platforms, so there's no excuses, okay? You can give this to everybody, and bless other people with this, and make sure that you are growing the platforms that are here to serve you. We are literally only doing this work to serve y'all and ourselves. That's it. Like, there's nothing else to this, but we really want our own healing, and we know that we heal in community. So yes, this was beautiful. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. I hope you feel welcome. You can always come back whenever you want, whatever you're working on. Let me know. Everyone knows Uprooted is a community, and I'm always about uplifting the community in every way that I can. Whatever you are working on, I want to support and uplift, even if it's behind the scenes. I got you. I really do. And yes, everybody, y'all, this was Black Men Speak Sundays. Dav, you were amazing. And yeah, this is a great show. I was like, what do we even do? What's the rest of the program? Tomorrow's Manifest Mondays, y'all know the schedule. Wednesday we got Black Women Wednesdays, and Thursday I'm gonna be right back on Clubhouse with everybody. Uprooted Network. Can you tell them too what days you guys do your conversations? I forget. Fridays or something?
So we scaled it back a bit just from like a capacity standpoint. So now we're doing it once a week on Fridays, and I think we're going to move to Tuesdays. So we're going to update everybody on Instagram and all that.
Perfect.
Meeting on Monday, but it will be once a week. And then we also do a virtual Black Men Healing session at the first Saturday of every month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's free, open to anybody that identifies as a Black man. And that's a more intimate space also because it's via Zoom, virtual.
Mm-hmm.
We can see each other. Like, we got brothers on there from Europe, Africa, everywhere, tuning in first Saturday of every month. And you can find more information at black.menhealing on and that'll give you more information on us as well. But I just want to say thank you. This is powerful. And anything you need from me, any kind of support, you have it. You have my full support. And anybody else that is on here that, has a business or anything like that, feel free to DM me and I'll support y'all in any way possible. Because this is what we have to do. Like, we got to connect the dots and continue to do this. This is the work. This is community for me. This is the community I want to be.
Right. Yeah, you got to build the community you want to be a part of, y'all. You heard it here first, okay? No, this is dope. So everybody, thank you. This is Black Men Speak Sundays. Y'all go enjoy the rest of your evening, whatever that looks like. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Make sure you are following our brother. And yeah, Everybody, peace out, y'all. Have a good one.
Love y'all. Thank you.